Ever wondered how taking breaks can actually improve your productivity? Welcome to a fascinating exploration of an often overlooked aspect of productivity, the productive break. We're not talking about those 5-minute distractions where you find yourself scrolling through social media or aimlessly wandering to the fridge. No, we're discussing intentional, strategic pauses in your work that can actually boost your efficiency and output. Many of us have fallen into the trap of thinking that the more we study, the more productive we are. Yet this is a common misconception. The idea that continuous studying equates to more productivity is a myth. Just like a well-oiled machine needs to cool down periodically to avoid overheating, our brains also need time to rest and recharge in order to function at peak performance. In the realm of studying or working, it's all about finding the right balance. It's a delicate dance between exertion and relaxation, between pushing our mental capacities to the limit and allowing them a moment to breathe. Think of it like interval training for your mind, alternating between periods of intense focus and restorative breaks. Productive breaks are not just about stepping away from the task at hand, but about engaging in activities that refresh the mind and body. It could be a short walk, a quick meditation session, or even a power nap. The key is to choose activities that rejuvenate you, rather than those that merely distract you. It's also important to note that everyone's optimal balance will be different. What works for one person may not work for another, so it's crucial to experiment and find what suits you best. Remember, the goal is not to cram as much information into our brains as possible, but to learn and work effectively. And that, my friends, often involves taking a breather. So let's debunk the myth. More studying does not necessarily mean better productivity. Instead, let us embrace the concept of productive breaks and discover how they can unlock our full potential. But what's the science behind these so-called productive breaks? Well, the answer lies in understanding how our brains work. You see, our brains are not designed to be on constant go mode. They need time to rest, recharge, and process the information they take in. When you're studying or working on a task, your brain is actively absorbing and storing information. However, it can only handle so much before it starts to feel overwhelmed, and that's when you start to feel fatigued or struggle to concentrate. That's where productive breaks come in. They give your brain the much-needed downtime it craves. During these breaks, your brain shifts into what neuroscientists call the default mode network, a state where it processes and consolidates the information you've learned. It's kind of like your brain's way of doing a disk cleanup on your computer, sorting through the information it's stored and making connections between different pieces of information. Several studies back up the benefits of breaks. For instance, a study by the University of Illinois found that brief diversions significantly improve focus and performance on a prolonged task. Another study published in the journal Cognition showed that taking regular breaks during a task can help maintain a consistent level of performance, while avoiding breaks can lead to a steady decline in performance. In simple terms, think of your brain as a sponge. It can only absorb so much water, or in this case, information, at a time. If you keep pouring water on it, it'll eventually reach saturation point and won't be able to take in any more. But if you give it a chance to dry out a bit, it'll be ready to absorb more water. It's also worth noting that different types of breaks can have different effects on the brain. For example, physical activity can boost mood and cognition by increasing blood flow to the brain, while mindfulness exercises can help reduce stress and improve focus. So the next time you feel guilty about taking a break, remember, your brain isn't slacking off. It's actively consolidating the information you've learned, making connections, and preparing itself for the next round of learning or work. As you can see, your brain isn't slacking off during breaks, it's actually hard at work consolidating information. So now that we know why breaks are important, what kind of breaks should we take? Well, there are several types of productive breaks, each with its unique benefits. Let's dive right in, shall we? Firstly, we have short breaks. These are typically 5 to 15 minutes long. They're perfect for when you're feeling a bit foggy but don't want to disrupt the flow of your work. During a short break, you could stretch, grab a snack, or simply gaze out of the window. is just about stepping away from your task for a moment to refresh your mind, then we have long breaks. These usually last from 30 minutes to an hour. You might want to take a long break after completing a significant chunk of work or studying for a few hours. During a long break, you could eat a meal, take a nap, or even go for a short walk. The idea here is to give your brain a longer rest period to consolidate information and recharge. Next, we have active breaks. These involve some form of physical activity. It could be a quick workout, a brisk walk, or even just some stretching exercises. Active breaks are excellent for boosting your energy levels and improving your focus. The physical activity gets your blood pumping and sends more oxygen to your brain, which can help you feel more awake and alert. Lastly, we have passive breaks. These are periods where you do something relaxing that doesn't require much mental effort. You might read a book, listen to music, meditate, or even daydream. Passive breaks are great for reducing stress and promoting a sense of calm. Now, when should you take these breaks and how should you use them? Well, that largely depends on you. Everyone is different. Some people might benefit from more frequent short breaks, while others might prefer fewer, longer breaks. You might find that active breaks help you concentrate better, or you might prefer passive breaks to unwind and relax. Remember, the type of break you choose should be tailored to your personal needs and study habits. Scene script. Sounds great, but how do we incorporate these breaks into our study routine? Well, let's dive right into that mystery. Implementing productive breaks isn't as daunting as it may seem. It's all about finding balance and understanding your own working rhythm. The first tip is to plan your breaks in advance. It's easy to lose track of time when you're engrossed in studying. So setting alarms or reminders can be a helpful way to ensure you're taking regular breaks. These can be as simple as a buzzing phone or a ticking timer on your desk. Next, let's talk about the Pomodoro technique, a time management method developed by Francesco Cirillo in the late 80s. The idea is to work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles of this, take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. This method is designed to maximize focus and creative freshness, allowing you to maintain high productivity throughout your study session. But remember, not all breaks are created equal. It's crucial to make sure your breaks are truly restorative. This means stepping away from your desk, moving around, and maybe even getting a bit of fresh air. Engage in an activity that relaxes you, like reading a book, listening to music, or even doing a quick workout. Another strategy is to use your breaks to reflect on what you've just learned. This not only gives your mind a rest, but also helps consolidate the information, making it easier to recall later. Don't forget, the key to productive breaks is to stay disciplined. It can be tempting to extend a 5-minute break into a 20-minute one, but doing so often leads to procrastination. Keep your breaks short, sweet, and focused on rejuvenation. Remember, everyone is different, and what works for one person might not work for another. It's all about experimenting, tweaking, and finding what works best for you. Implementing these breaks may require some trial and error, but the payoff in productivity will be worth it. So, we've talked about what productive breaks are and how to implement them, but what benefits can we expect to see? Well, my friends, the advantages are numerous and truly noteworthy. Firstly, let's talk about focus. Our brains, much like us, can only maintain peak performance for a certain amount of time. By taking a purposeful break, we provide our minds with a much-needed rest, allowing us to return to our tasks with renewed focus and vigor. Secondly, there's the matter of information retention. When we learn something new, our brains need time to process and consolidate that information. Productive breaks provide that time. Think of it as giving your brain a chance to file away new knowledge properly, so it's easier to retrieve later. Reduced stress is another significant benefit. Continuous studying or work can lead to mental fatigue, which in turn can heighten feelings of stress and anxiety. By taking a break, we give ourselves a chance to relax, refresh, and reduce those stress levels. Now let's talk about the big one: increased productivity. It might seem counterintuitive, but taking regular breaks can actually make you more productive. It's not about working or studying longer, but working smarter. By allowing ourselves to rest and recharge during a productive break, we can maintain a steady level of performance rather than a cycle of peaks and dips. And finally, it's important to note that productive breaks can also foster creativity. By stepping away from your work, you give your subconscious mind a chance to mull over problems and come up with new solutions. You might be surprised at the innovative ideas that come to you when you're taking a break. In conclusion, productive breaks are not just about taking a pause from studying, it's about giving your brain the rest it needs to perform at its best. So next time you find yourself struggling to concentrate, remember to take a break. You might just come back more productive than ever.